One, two, one, two. I was rewatching Grease recently, as one does, and it's a really, really, really good musical. I mean, that's not a secret, you know. Really good songs, pretty nice dance numbers, and just a lovely nostalgic setting. But what I really noticed this time was just how good, effective, and haunting the ending is of the film. Because, and I'm not talking the bit where Olivia Newton-John walks in the leather pants and sort of smokes a cigarette and, you know, twists it on the floor. I'm talking about the actual final song, the "We Go Together like Scooby-Dooby-Dooby-Dooby, Shiggity-Diggity-Bop, best friends forever like better, 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 ching chang, ching-a-ding-ching-bop, we'll always be together." Like, and that final line kind of encapsulates what makes the film itself so good, because it is a nostalgic look at the 1950s and early teenage culture, and but then also it's quite skeptical of those things as well. You know, it has teenage pregnancy, sexual violence, I think some implied knife violence, and so, you know, it does kind of play lightly with the darker sides of that nostalgia as well, kind of letting the audience enjoy the era that it's being set in, but also giving them constant reminders that this is both a rose-tinted view, as would one's memories be of that era if you watched it at the time it was released in 1978. And that's the other thing as well. So, well, yeah, what I want to sort of look at is that sort of final line, "Always be together," because Sandy and Danny get into the car and it takes off and they fly away into the clouds. Their heads are in the clouds as the refrain, "We'll always be together," plays over and over and over. And it's such a good joke and also haunting because it's playing on that sort of adult, what would you call it, hindsight, that of course you won't always be together with your friends from school. You might stay together with some of them, but as a group, and then even those that you stay friends with, you will not always be together. You will move on, you'll move to different towns, and you'll find new lives. Or in the case of America, you will always be together, and that will be a curse. You will be stuck in the same town, and you will always be together. So what starts out as a sort of optimistic declaration of friendship becomes this curse, this inescapable suburban hell, and reality of the fact that you will always be together with the same people who have known you since you were a child, and nothing will ever change. However, this film is set in 1958 and was released 20 years later in 1978. And if you take Greece, the town of Rydell, I think the town's called Rydell, or is it just the high school? Anyway, if you take the town of Rydell as a microcosm for America, in 1958, and to say "we'll always be together" is deeply, not ironic, is deep. To say that America will always be together in 1958 is a joke in and of itself, isn't it? Because coming up we have the civil rights movement, we have the Vietnam War, we have the assassination of JFK, we have the definition of the redefinition of the modern political parties of Republicans and Democrats, and the beginning of partisanship that we still see today. And so imagine just kind of imagine it's 1978 and you've been enjoying this kind of throwback to rock and roll era, slicking your hair back greasy, no long hair, you know, no kind of deeper political worries you have to think about. Not that those things didn't exist then, but obviously for the audience watching it, they were teenagers and they didn't, you know, for a white teenager in 1958, the issues of segregation, thanks to their privilege, were not pressing on their minds very much when they were graduating high school. And so to kind of look back on those people and on oneself as a contemporary viewer in 1978 And just to kind of have the whole of the song American Pie just implied in that one song. We're going to have the death of Buddy Holly, if it hadn't happened already. I'm not sure when that happened, but, you know, we're going to have the death of Buddy Holly. We're going to have the Vietnam War. Everything is going to fall apart. All that optimism is going to start to rot. All the public infrastructure is going to begin to be defunded. All the post-war economic boom is going to crumble. It will not last forever. And you are being sort of reminded that whilst almost, and then also just enjoying what is actually happening on screen, the celebratory innocence and naivety of that era back then. And I think it just so effectively kind of laughs at both the characters and the audience for who are nostalgic for the era of the 1950s, for thinking that kind of post-war prosperity and innocence could ever last, and for thinking that that time even was as good as they ever thought it was. Because you will not always be together. We do not go together like Ching Chong, Charlie Ching Chibup. And yeah, I think it's just that refrain, that line of "we'll always be together," just echoing and fading into the distance as you sitting there in a crowded, smoky theatre in 1978 that, you know, in the day is probably just used to like screen pornos, and then in the evening shows like more regular films, with the sort of, and then unbeknownst to them, the whole Reagan era looming around the corner. I think it's it's not laugh out loud funny, but it is comedic. And yeah, it just really struck me how poignant that would have been to experience in 1978 when it was released. Really, really good movie.